Hello. Um, we have a lot of people here in attendance that have worked on this project from the very, very beginning. I mean, the very beginning, some 18 years ago. And you might think today we could think of this as a sad day because, as you all know, we had to announce that our inaugural season is going to be postponed until 2021. But when you see the progress that has been created and made on the Embarcadero, and you hear about the number of people that have worked on this project, and as we thank all of you in this room for your early support, your constant support, your interest, your past attendance, your future attendance, your caring about this project, I choose to believe this is a joyous day as we look forward. And we're in a waiting period. But as I was saying to George Varga, he said, I hate to call you on this terrible occasion. I said, George, this is a disappointment. This is not a tragedy. Right. So we're disappointed today, but it's all the more fitting we gather together and just see what's already been done, see the forward momentum, and start to think of what it's going to be like to come back. So we have lots of fun things planned for you today. First of all, I want to introduce some team members. You're going to be hearing from Greg Miller, our architect, and Rob Webster, our owner's representative, in a moment. But Scott Williams is here somewhere. Scott, wave. Scott has been our incredible attorney and guide through all of this. And really, when you think all the way back to the stages of this, Scott has certainly seen us through all of them. Frank O'Day, who's in charge of our food and beverage consulting at the Shell, is here from Los Angeles. John Trotter is here from our signage company 4040. We also have Howard Mills and Dan Stewart of Rudolph and Sletten. And I just want to say, we could not be happier with the partnership we have with our general contractors and your team. You have been creative in this process. You've been imaginative, you've been diligent, you've been careful. You have been so creative in solving problems, and there's always problems in a construction project, but I have to say, in the midst of a COVID-19 epidemic, the early problems seemed like nothing, and you made the others work. So we're really, really grateful. So thank you for all of you. I think one of the things about this project is hundreds of people have really been part of it all along, and everyone that's had the pleasure and privilege of working in some way to make this happen has known that it is one of those things you're just always going to remember, one of the important things that you helped make happen. And all of you in this room who have done that through your generous contributions, again, we can't say thank you enough. There are some people who aren't here with us today that have shaped this. In the heart of all of this is absolutely about the orchestra, and they're not present here, but I can tell you they just can't wait to get back to making music together. And we'll talk about that a lot today. But Sean Murphy is the person who does the sound and has overseen the sound concept for the Shell. And Sean Murphy therefore takes the most precious and important element of this, which is the sound of the orchestra, and translates it to us as the audience and creates the most incredible sound world and soundscape. We've had a task force led by Mitch Woodbury that was with us in the early days. We've also worked with the capable guidance of Richard Ledford and many of the community and the Port and Coastal Commission phase of this. Speaking of which, the Port commissioners and the staff have really fell in love with this project. And as thorny as things were at times, they were always on board. And of course, the Coastal Commission as well. And Katie McDonald led us through the earliest stages from the staff. And I want to thank all of the staff members who have worked on it. It's now capably in Travis Weineger's hands in terms of the staff liaison. And of course, Leah Slusher put together the most beautiful season with our guest artists, with Raphael and so forth. So these are just a few of the names, but it just echoes how many more come out from those names that have really been affected by this. So I want to see, Dave, are you on now to come back to you? Do we know what happened to Dave?
David's here. David, if you can unmute your audio device that you're using.
Izelle or something. Izelle?
That's Amazelle, yeah. I don't know.
I saw Dave under that.
So we'll throw to, let me introduce somebody that does not need any introduction here. And that is, of course, Rafael Payare. And the thing that makes me probably the saddest is every time I think about the beautiful programs that were created this summer, and they can be recreated the following summer, but I was so excited. And we worked really hard and came up with a beautiful program, which I don't think any of you ever saw because when we went with the brochure, we were still working on it. But Rafael, you and I stood, and there's some images coming up that we stood there when it was dirt in the very beginning, and we stood there on a sunny day. We stood on the stage, and with that, this incredible rainstorm came, and we stood under it and heard the shell, actually, and the sun came out and we left. So maybe that's a metaphor of where we are right now. But, you know, I know you love this place and you've been really excited about it.
Yes, absolutely. First of all, hi, everybody. I'm not so sure if my sound is okay. It's okay, maybe. Yeah, great. Okay. Hello. It's great to see so many faces. Of course, it would be better if we would be together, but well, we'll see about that. But like Martha was saying, actually, we went there the day before my birthday, before I was going to be 40.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
It was wonderful. We get there by noon or something like that, and we were not wearing, I wasn't wearing boots, Martha neither. And then we have this amazing rainstorm that we could, like Martha said, we could actually hear the shell. And I have to say that even with just being pure dirt and no still with all the wonderful sound that we're going to get, the acoustic was already working quite amazing. And I remember this crazy feeling because the wind was a little bit strong and was coming from the side, and then you cannot really see past the water because it was really thick, all this rain, and then all of a sudden everything just stopped and you could see that beautiful reflection on the water, and you could see from one side the bridge and then from the other side where the Navy is. It was just fantastic. And if we take that as a metaphor, I remember that storm was about like 10 minutes and it felt like it was really long, which now at the moment has been not 10 weeks and it still feels really long. But I remember that getting out of that, it was wonderful. And I'm absolutely sure that when we get out of this, we're going to appreciate this whole thing. And you have been into that place before when it wasn't the shell, but the summers for the San Diego Symphony. And of course, I'm sad because this was going to be my first summer, but I'm sure that it's going to be great because now we have this amazing structure that is going to be completed, and we will be able to actually always go there and make wonderful and beautiful music. And you will see when Martha put the videos and the photos from it. It's mesmerizing. I'm really looking forward to see it and just be there and start playing and making a little bit of music.
So speaking of music, you know, what do you dream about being able to do there? I mean, what kinds of music, how reaching audiences? I know you've been thinking about this.
Oh, that's a dangerous question. Well, it depends. There are so many things that we could actually do in this beautiful space. And we could see it from, let's say, when like this would not happen, we could see how we could have choral music. Let's say we could have a Beethoven 9th Symphony there. We could include many of the chorus from the different parts of San Diego. We could have Broadway shows, as you know already. Of course, we also have jazz music, but at the same time, now getting into the reality that where we are at the moment, I think the Shell is going to be an amazing place to the new start, the new beginning of getting this transition period into getting the new normal, because I'm sure that being again with the audience, it will be, let's say, less scary if we are in a surrounding area that is outdoors than being indoors. So for many people, the Shell could be a place that we could, okay, we want to, we know that that you guys love the symphony, but maybe there's a little bit of fear because we don't know how this virus is coming. But, oh, if it's actually safe and we're in an outdoor place, maybe it's not so scary. We could be distant, we could still be with our friends, we could be shouting each other, hey, nice to see you, you know, and then we could be with this fantastic, amazing, ridiculously blue sky that San Diego has and just enjoy beautiful music. So I think this is an actual, I mean, it is coming in a very strange, bizarre time. I think it's coming in the perfect moment for San Diego and San Diego Symphony, and we could use this as a huge asset that none of the orchestra in the rest of the country, and of course not in Europe, could have, because no one could be doing outdoor concert in, let's say, October or November. Maybe I'm stepping into deeper waters here, but my mind is running with a lot of ideas with Martha. And that's what I said, like, ooh, that's a tricky question and a dangerous one, but yeah.
I remember early on when you were standing out there and you also said, I want the Navy band and the brass players of the orchestra, and I want them arriving on boats from both sides and coming and being, I mean, yeah. It lends itself to your crazy ideas.
Yeah, totally. Because I mean, if you have the Embarcadero and you have water from the surrounding, and of course, let's say, okay, it might be complicated to get them to be back because of the regulation. But what about if we have the Navy going in a boat and they play something? We even thought that maybe they could actually be playing for the beginning of the summer. We could be playing the national anthem, and they could just go there and then just go into the sunset, and then the orchestra comes back into life and they start doing something. I mean, there's so many possibilities in that place that my mind goes wild.
Great. Well, we can't wait for you to be there, obviously. And we'll make a trip out there one of these days soon as we near completion and really, again, stand on that stage. So thank you.
Please.
Okay, I think, Dave, can you be heard now? Dave was under the alias of Amazel, as someone said. There you go.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. And I want to welcome everyone. We have board members, we have annual fund campaign and comprehensive campaign donors here today, and friends of the show. Who knew that when we began this project in earnest, the show could take on such an important part in our lives going forward? We're going to hear more about that today. I just wanted to recognize our comprehensive campaign steering committee. Joining me on the steering committee are co-chairs Jack McGrory and Una Davis, Warren Kessler, Kit Sickles, Terry Atkinson, A. Young Tang, and Colette Carson Royston. I am sorry that we couldn't overcome the glitch at the beginning that would allow me to introduce you to our leaders of Ladies and Men, Martha Gilmer, but you all know Martha, so please continue.
Thanks. So some of you remember when this first began, and Mitch Woodbury told me the story, and I think I told it at the groundbreaking, which seems like a very long time ago, that he and Erwin were standing at a board retreat, and Erwin said, you know, we really should think of a permanent outdoor venue on that site. And one of the other people who was involved from that very beginning is Greg Miller, who is with us today as architect, and he's got some great and unique perspective on this project. Greg.
Thank you, Martha. First of all, I want to make sure you guys all get introduced to Sal with my office. Sal is my right hand on this project and has been spending countless hours with our team getting all the details right and making sure we're making all these creative changes as they come about. And so Sal deserves a lot of kudos for the long hours and hard work that he's been putting in as well. So glad to have him with me today. We're going to kind of do a little unique journey. We're going to look at a couple of renderings that we started out with when we looked at everything through the Coastal Commission with some of those renderings that we did. And we're going to show you some photos of what it looks like today. and then show you some interesting details that you probably wouldn't get to see unless you were out on the site today looking at it. So we're going to start with our presentation. Go ahead and pull it up.
We're going to take some screen share here.
Give me 1 second as it loads up. Hit the slideshow. Don't. It's not letting you touch it. All right, we'll do it this way. We can do it this way.
Something's not right. Something's frozen.
You just have to hit enable content.
Where is that?
Right here on top.
Oh, there it is. Oh, I think.
There we go.
There it is. It's double screened.
Okay, so this was the rendering that we did for Coastal Commission and what we've shown you guys several times. I'm going to show you a shot that was taken last weekend. And you can see that our shell looks very similar to the shell that we had in the renderings. The unique thing about this is having this vision as an architect and knowing what it's going to look like, trying to create it in renderings, but then more importantly, having it come to fruition and having it look exactly like what we've been showing to everyone. So when we look at the entry, we showed this image of the entry. Now the photo I'm going to show you next is more of the pavilions and the box office, but you're going to notice that our curve of our box office and the stacking of the roof lines of our pavilions for where you're going to have these incredible meals cooked, they all line up exactly the way that we had them line up. So it looks like the stacking of shells or the stacking of the water of this beautiful site that we're on. This is looking back at in between the two pavilions, and you can see that the space between the pavilions where we're all going to gather sometime in the near future, I hope, frames the convention center, and they play very nicely off of each other from an image standpoint. Looking from the pavilions back towards the shell, you can see the walls of the seating area as well as the shell, and these big items right here on both sides, that's actually where those screens are on both sides of the shell. One of the things about these walls is that the walls are made of white concrete, and we took a lot of heat as architects for making them do this out of white concrete because it's hard to get it to perform right. I will say that R&S did a great job of going through this and supervising it to make sure that it turned out exactly the way we wanted to, so that when we look at it against the blue sky, we're going to have this beautiful white concrete during the daytime against the blue sky, and then at the very top of the wall, there is a hidden light that will cascade down the wall at night and create a unique ambiance for when the symphony is playing. It's going to be phenomenal. It's turned out as good as I could have imagined from the standpoint of the way this finished out. So kudos to R&S and the team for getting this done correctly. When we take a look at the shell, this is all the way back at the furthest seat in the house. So if there's 10,000 people in here, we're sitting all the way in the back row And this is how close to the stage you're really going to be. It feels intimate, even though it's going to have a large crowd in it, and it has that ambiance that Raphael was talking about in terms of being able to be a part of the city, part of the water, part of this incredible orchestra that will be playing for us. When we look at this rendering that we did, which is about midway up the bowl of the seating, we did this rendering to kind of show what it was going to look like. And here we are in about that same location, and you can see that it's turning out exactly like we had talked about. I'm going to walk you in front of the stage a little bit. You're going to get to see some of the seating at the front row. So stage left, our stage left, we're looking up into the shell. You're seeing a lot of the works that'll get covered up by the inner liner, but this is all of the catwalks, some of the lighting controls, which I'll go over in a little bit. As we look at this from the dead center front row, this is where your seat is. You can see through the shell. You can see the tops of the trees of the park behind us. One of the things that we always take a look at what this shell looks like, but what does this look like from inside the shell, the spaces that will be occupied. This is the orchestra's area that they come to where they get to relax and kind of before the show. This is what they will see out of one side of their area. And this is what they look at out over the water, kind of giving some inspiration as they're getting ready for the incredible shows that Raphael has planned for them. This is at the back of the shell, which is what we call the Sunset Steps. This is the view from the Sunset Steps. This is kind of turned a little bit, looking towards the downtown, so a little bit of the marina from there as well as what I just showed you from the sunset area. And then this is the incredible view that Raphael will have out of his room, his preparation room. So he has inspiration from the water, the city as well, in regards to that. The next couple of places I'm going to take you to are areas that only those who are ambitious and want to climb up into the shell. I'm going to take you up onto the catwalks and show you some of the things that we've been really working through to get all of the lighting and the hoistways all pulled together for the shows that will be put on here. So this is at the start of the catwalk. You can see how steep these catwalks are. So we put in some extra measures to make sure that we've got some slip resistance on it. But you can see how far up in the air you are, and this is actually at the lower end of the catwalks. Some of the things that you're seeing here is you're starting to see the lights that'll light up the shell, and all of this will get covered up with the internal liner once we put that in there. So this is a great opportunity for you to see some of the inner workings. This is up towards the middle, and you can start to see some of the hoist beams and the hoist that'll be put up here to hoist things up and down, the lights, the screens that will show the show in different locations on the stage. This is from the front of the shell, or front catwalk, looking out to the front of the shell over top of the bowl. So there's just a different perspective that you won't get to see other than being up there. And just thought I'd share that with you. And this is from that same catwalk looking back. You can see that we are out in front of the stage. The stage edge is actually right here. And so we're out over the audience looking back, and this is the area that the orchestra will be in, and this is the beautiful back window that frames the view. And I'm going to rest it on the image that we showed from across the bay and how we are making an incredible statement on our waterfront for our community, for the symphony, for all of us to come and celebrate once we finally can come together, as Raphael so nicely put it. I can't wait to hear the orchestra play in this, and the symphony play in this incredible facility. That I will give kudos to RNS on the way that the construction has been handled. With that, Martha, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Greg, and thank you, Sal, for all your good work. I don't think I'm ever going to see the view from that catwalk personally, so it's really great that you took me on that journey. But we actually had a lot of conversation about whether we needed an inner liner, because the intricacy of that stage is so interesting. So the inner liner is one of the last things that will go on after acoustic panels and so forth. So you are some of the few people who will actually see the inner workings of the shell. So our project manager is Rob Webster from Gardner Theobald, and Rob will continue our journey through the work site and give us his perspective. Rob?
I think you're muted, Rob.
Okay, so you should be able to hear me now. I've just been unmuted, I believe. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Just bear with me 1 second here. My apologies, guys. You can't see my screen at this point.
We can.
You can?
We can see your screen.
We can see your screen.
Okay. My apologies. Okay. Well, this is chunky, guys. My apologies. Okay, here we go. So my photography skills are nowhere near as good as Greg's and Sal's, but there's going to see a little bit of duplication here, but we've got a bit of an update. I echo what Greg has said. Greg and Sal have been putting considerable hours and effort into this, along with their design team, and the design team is huge. It's multidisciplinary, from civil to structural to MEP to theatrical to low voltage to security. So everybody's doing a lot of hard work out there, and they're being driven very well by our GC. These guys are, as Martha said and as Greg said, they're your partner. They're doing an excellent job out there, and we're in good hands. So the shell and site as of 2 o'clock today. Greg has shown you some of these photos, but you can see the box office on the right-hand side. You can see the two pavilions, the food pavilions, marketplace. You can see the rear hill. You can see the entrances to the restrooms. You can see the shell, the annexes, upper and lower, and we'll talk about those shortly, and the two new video screens that have gone in this last week. So recent accomplishments, building A, the shell, the steel arrived, the final delivery. That's been a task to get that here from Texas. It's here and in place. The fabric was stretched on the center roof by a installer from New York. They, as COVID hit, they departed site, and we found a new installer who's local to be able to come and finish this work for us. Catwalks are installed, lighting nodes are installed. There's about 5,000 of those. We've talked about that before. Mechanical, electrical, plumbing and drywall is well progressed. Woodwork and drywall happening. AV towers erected. Building B, the structure is completed. The vast majority of the waterproofing is completed and fit out has commenced. Building C, box office. D and E, the food pavilion, steel delivered. That came from Oregon rather than Texas. We split the deliveries. Fabric stretch, stud-work, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, roofing commenced. Site works, considerable amount of site works happening at the moment and has been over the last 2-3 months. Sewer connection is made, sewer lifting station is installed, stormwater system is in, vast majority of it. We've exported 4,500 cubic yards of soil off-site to Port Property this last week. Water meters are connected. SDG&E electrical is ongoing. SDG&E gas is about to start very soon. Light towers and video bases. Light tower is in. The video bases are placed. Roof graded on seating areas completed. Underground utilities ongoing. A couple of other points to note. COVID obviously hit during the recent period between the last update you guys have got. We have a prevention and preparation plan in place. Rudolph and Slatten have been very comprehensive on this. We've reacted to the state and the city updates when it initially kicked off, as readily as each day, each half day in some cases. So they've reacted very well. A lot of social distancing, everybody wearing masks, and that brings its own challenges, but everybody out there is doing an excellent job. An average on-site workforce of about 110, total days worked 200, consecutive days without an injury 200. We talked about the lights, and Greg showed you them from the catwalk. There's over 5,000 of those dots. They can change colours, and we're looking forward to getting permanent power on and those commissioned. You'll see very shortly here the artificial turf of a 75,000 square foot, 2 acres, just under 1.5 football field. So we like to see these two site inspectors keeping us on our toes. Martha Raphael just before COVID, Susan Wolf, Associate Principal Brass, playing on the stage for a piece of camera that they did. So the stage is already in use. A picture from the promenade today, looking excellent. Some of these are repeats from Greg's positions. In Building A, you can see the 2 AV screens that have gone up this week.
Rob, can I interrupt? Oh yeah, can you show the nodes from this image? That's a good one.
Yeah, so this these of them. Here we go. I'm not going to count them all, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here, so they're all in. They're tight. The lighting controls. Greg's talked about these lighting control panels on the catwalks. And obviously, all that needs to be commissioned along with the installation of the acoustic panels before we put the inner liner in. These lighting nodes are part of our public art contribution through the requirements of the CDP. So this is most projects like this, 1% public art contribution work. Costing us a little bit more than 1%, but these lights are going to look fantastic. They're going to be controlled, and Travis and team will work with an artist to do that pre-event and post-event. A couple of images that are similar to Greg's little snapshot. Not everybody gets to see all these, but on the left-hand side, early one evening, the first guys stretching the fabric from New York. That was the second panel that went in, took some time. We were very cautious and stretched it appropriately slowly enough to make sure that there was no issues. But on the left hand side, you've got the main stage. stretched in February. On the right-hand side, you've got the fabric stretching on the upper and lower annexes on the north and the south that have been continuing in March, April, and May. AV towers, a bit of duplication here, but these went in as early as this last week, left and right. This is a view of the north and south upper and lower annex, the fabric being stretched, and you're seeing here the VIP kitchen, restroom, and green room. The rear elevation, this picture's a little stretched. It's panoramic to get it all in, but you know, Greg's shown you some of the pictures. Greg and Sal are stood here doing a concrete inspection, and Dan from Rudolph and Slatton, that was Tuesday. A couple of pictures that I know will probably interest some of you: VIP kitchen, VIP restroom, and some areas stage left. Drywall, MEP, work ongoing. Building B restrooms, the rear stairs and rear entrance. There's 3 entrances to the restroom. There's the other one on the promenade. Tile, floor and wall tiling going into restrooms. In-wall plumbing done. Drywall ceilings ready for some city inspection. Building B, added storage, north area, MEP ongoing. South area, MEP ongoing. Greg's shown a couple of pictures of these already. Box office, steel complete, fabric went in this past week. Building D, market pavilion, steel complete, mezzanine structure complete, stud work ongoing, fabric close to being done. Building E, street food pavilion, big site meeting today. This last week we were resolving some dimension issues, but everything going okay. Front elevation and rear elevation. This is the front from the flat, pre-event space. This is from the car park area. Building D, restrooms. This is now graded, the waterproofing complete, grading on top is rough graded. Sewer lift station, gone in. Everybody pleased to see that get in. A couple little fun photos here. Sort of next steps, we're currently in the acoustic panel production from New Jersey. They're going to start to come out here very soon. Frank, your pizza oven arrived yesterday, so it's there and it's looking forward to being fired up. So that is the PowerPoint presentation.
Before Rob ends, I want to say one thing. This is Greg with Tucker Sadler. You know, RNS has been doing a great job, but I will tell you, I've never had a better CM on a job than what Rob Webster's been doing. He is in tune with everything that's going on from construction as well as the design and the architecture and all of the disciplines. And I will tell you, this man works tirelessly as well, and he's been doing a great job.
Here, here.
Thanks, Greg.
Here.
A little look fest between us all. But
So the next is a very, speaking of Rudolph and Slatton, I know Rob's going to set this up, but we've now had all of the technicals. This is just the little romantic look at this.
yeah,
So-
so thanks to Howard and Dan for obtaining this. I think this is 2 weeks old as of now, or close to being 2 weeks old. It lasts 3 minutes, and I think I'm going to play it all. So here you go. Well, there you go.
Thanks, Rob. Now we miss the orchestra even more. One of the things we've learned about Zoom is the sound of music can be distorted, but the images were amazing. And thank you again for that to our good friends from Rudolph and Slutton. So I guess want to talk a few minutes about where we find ourselves right now, about where we are at the San Diego Symphony, and then really open the floor for questions so you can start thinking of your questions. So it is whatever it is, 8-10 weeks before our current situation of being sheltered at home and losing the live music that we feel is so much a part of our lives happened. And it's as the weeks go on, it becomes even more clear how much we are missing music at a time of crisis and challenge and the idea of distancing. And so we are going to be in this environment for a while, because the most important thing, of course, is that our audiences are safe when they come to a performance, and that our musicians and support staff can be socially distanced and feel safe on stage and interacting with our public. And so we will watch and wait. Obviously, we are all reading the same information on a regular basis, and it's sometimes hard to sort out, but it's perfectly clear that it's not possible yet to have an orchestra sitting as close as they do in a regular concert. I think that chamber music is a good beginning at the time when that might be possible. We actually have laid out the stage here at the Shell with what we would now look at as a full orchestra, which is significantly smaller than Mahler and Shostakovich, but we're still a distance away from that. But we are starting to think of those solutions. We also have a fantastic team looking at, from the audience perspective, the kind of change that we will have to anticipate, including, of course, the wearing of masks, but more than that, we laying out the seating patterns, but having staggered arrivals. And we know that some people are not going to be comfortable for a while, maybe not until there's a vaccine. So the big advantage also of the Shell stage, and to some degree still at Copley, is that we will be able to do some virtual concerts and be able to broadcast them to people in their homes until they're ready to come back and hear the live concert along with other people. So Raphael kind of alluded to this, we have an idea that perhaps we could have some concerts in the fall, and that might be a string quartet, it might be an ensemble of 13 people, it might be a solo piano, but we can imagine possibly with the outdoor and the sunshine on a beautiful Saturday late afternoon, actually having some people gather there. It's certainly not anything like certain, but we really do like to dream about when things will be possible. The staff is working hard. The orchestra is well. The staff and the orchestra are all well. I can say that we have had no coronavirus issues directly with any of our people, which is great. We were able to get a PPP loan. We keep thanking Jack McGrory because it was his suggestion of Endeavor Bank. And on the second round, we were able to qualify for a PPP loan, and that has really helped us keep the orchestra fully compensated since the last rehearsal. We have furloughed or taken salary and wage reductions of about 25% of the staff. But we are working hard on the end of the year campaign, and it's going extremely well. And I have to say, I really believe our donors are staying with us. They understand the importance of this orchestra, the momentum of this orchestra. And we're having wonderful conversations with people. It's an opportunity really to have a phone conversation that can last a while, because we have no place to rush to be, and it's been great. construction, obviously, we just noted. I think a good projection in terms of the current construction time period is somewhere post mid-August for completion, third, maybe fourth week of August. And if you think of all of the changes and the compressed schedule and a rainy season, not just in San Diego, but in Texas where that steel was being fabricated, and then COVID-19, I think that's really pretty remarkable that we are that close to our original projected date. We are working with our guest artists for next summer, and many of the artists who are coming have said, please, let's come back. And so Leah is transferring them to dates the following year. And in the meantime, our musicians are preparing a number of virtual performances, and we've got some great interviews with Raphael, and we've created a new space on our website called Symphony Stream. You can go there and we will be putting a lot of content there for you to enjoy. A lot of it is also on Facebook and other social medias, Instagram, etc. But it's easier for many just to go to the website and see it there. So our campaign is still in full swing. Many of you have had the experience of being on the site and taking the tour, but many more will be able to be introduced through the medium we just saw to the excitement of the shell. And we are absolutely continuing our momentum on raising the remainder of our goal for the campaign for the shell. So I think that's kind of it from my perspective. I would only say from a national perspective, all of the major orchestras are talking on a regular basis. And I think one thing that is particularly true is that in times like this, innovation is really possible. And I think there are many things in the way that we have presented concerts to a variety of audiences that we've thought about and questioned and thought about changing. And I think that this time of waiting and of anticipation is also one of experimenting and taking some risks and in interacting with our current and our future audiences in different ways. So I think our musicians are game for that. I know Raphael's game for that. And artists from around the world are imagining new ways of connecting. So I like to look at it as that. So with that, are there any questions? We have a little surprise for you at the end, but any questions that anybody has, any one of us who've been presented.
This is Bill Roper. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Bill. Welcome.
Thank you. Would one of the guys, on the technical team, just remind me what is the consistency of the fabric? What's it made of that you're stretching for the shell?
This is Greg with Tucker Sadler. It is a PTFE. It is actually a Teflon type material that is stretched, that it withstands the salt air and withstands the sunlight as well, so it will not degrade. In fact, it's the same fabric that you see at the convention center that they just replaced. So they put in a better fabric after almost 30 years. So the fabric is very good. It's also the same fabric that's at the airport and at the rental car facility.
Thank you.
Okay, another question, Joe Craver, is that fireproof?
This fabric is, it is not what they would say fireproof, but it would, if there was a fire out here, it would not burn, it would just disintegrate. It takes a lot of heat to get it to catch fire.
To add to that, it is a Class A membrane. Building code has classifications for materials, Class A being the absolute highest, and it is rated as a Class A membrane.
Thank you.
Hi, it's Janet Gorey. Are they going to keep the schedule up of working 6 days a week on the Shell on the whole area?
Rob, you want to answer that?
Yeah. Yes, that's what yes, that's the plan at the moment. We actually on occasions working Sundays as well where necessary, but yes, 6 days a week is what we're working.
I talked to Martha, this is Bill Weber. I talked to Martha earlier. Could somebody comment a little bit just on the security, how we're going to protect that site, particularly until we start using it regularly?
I can
So
take that.
once we're past a TCO, a temporary certificate, or a certificate of occupancy, the CDP, the Coastal Development Permit, and our lease requires us to have the facility protected 24/7. So security, with Travis's team and security, the site is monitored and secured 24/7.
Anyone else? It's been great to see all of you. In fact, I should scroll and see more of you during this next part, but we did do an announcement today at noon. The Union Tribune covered it online and it'll be in the paper tomorrow, but on our website, or many of you subscribers would have gotten an email from us with a great video from that our fantastic marketing team put together. And Leah got a lot of guest artists and some of our musicians together in tribute to their experience at the Shell. They're looking forward to being back, and it's I think expresses for all of us our feelings of anticipation, and now heightened and longer term anticipation until we return again. But we saved one for you first, that you can see first. Some of you will remember last summer that Laura Osnes and Jason Daniele did a performance, Some Enchanted Evening, about the music of Rodgers and Hammerstein, Rodgers and Hart. Beautiful music and two wonderful singers. And then some of you will also remember a couple of years ago, we did a tribute to the team Harnick and Bach, which culminated in the second half with Fiddler on the Roof. And in the first half of that, we did a number of their lesser known musicals, including Fiorello. Well, we talked to Rob Fisher and we had an idea and he had an idea and he created this specially for us. Sheldon Harnick, who's still alive at 90 something, gave his permission to alter this a little and make it our own tribute. And so we bring you, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed, because if the music doesn't work, we're going to send you and not have you listen to it that way. We bring you Laura Osnes and Jason Daniele that really sum it up in terms of where we find ourselves today and the exciting times that are a little bit more just ahead than we thought.
Down on the bay, waiting to play till tomorrow. Tomorrow, ready to go, to put on a show till tomorrow. Tomorrow, the shell is complete. You'll take your seat. Heaven is dreaming of you till tomorrow comes.
So a little more waiting. But thank you all for being part of this today, and we look forward to seeing you on more Zoom calls, but hopefully soon in person. Thanks so much.
On?
Yeah.
Aye.